And we are back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Chatooine Show. Hope you guys remember the greatest, the best, the brightest podcast in the galaxy, filled with the wretched hive of scum and villainy. Here every Wednesday nights, talking about all things Star Wars. Tonight I'm Star Wars only. I'm joined with my co-host Lunga and my co-host Palpamemes. And tonight we're going over this year. I don't know if you guys remember this year, but we have countless announcements to look back on. Cancellations. We have the Bad Batch. We have the Acolyte. And the simple question of today's show is, was 2024 a good year for Star Wars? So let's see if you remember it fondly. And, the usual housekeeping notes for the show. If you're watching this live or listening to it later on podcast or YouTube, leave us a like, help the show out. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, see future episodes of the show. And be sure to follow us on all the social medias in the description below. And if you really enjoy this nonsense of a show, you can become a member. You remember that? Or leave us a super chat during the show. We'll answer any questions that you guys have. And if you're listening to it on Spotify or anything with podcasts, leave us a review. Help a brother out. So let's get into 2024. I feel like this has been a unique year for Star Wars. It's a topic I want to cover for my own channel next month as we wind the year down and everything. But to start this off for both of you gentlemen, when we look back at 2024, what's kind of the first thing that comes to your mind for Star Wars? Lunga, give us your thoughts.
Mediocrity.
That seems to be the word of the week
The consensus.
on Chatooine. Yeah, we said that last week, me and Ro.
I mean, there were some highlights. I mean, there was I particularly enjoyed Ahsoka. I did. I was more higher on it than you guys were. I had my problems with it too. But overall,
What about you, Pal Memes? What do you think about when you hear 2024 for Star Wars?
My thing is the word awaken, because I learned that I was living in
here we go.
alternative reality to the truth of what Star Wars is under Disney. No, I think I wouldn't say mediocrity, because Ahsoka was enjoyable in the moment, but then I look back and I realize the only reasons I really liked it is because of nostalgic reasons. Because of fan favorite stuff like Hayden Christensen. But when I look back on 2024, it's the word I'm going to actually use is forgetful. It was very forgetful. Nothing crazy happened, outside of was Celebration this year? Is that when they announced the Rey stuff?
No, that
last
was
year?
in 2023 of April.
Exactly, proves my point. Not what I don't remember anything from this year, until you guys brought the topics for this show to me. But forgetful was my word for that.
If we're doing words that we normally do here on podcasts, if we're doing one word for this year, though, I would say rough. I think this was a really rough year for Star Wars, and I already have my script for my own channel for the specific topic next month ready and written and everything like that. And one of the things I put was that I actually think this might be one of the worst years for Star Wars within the past 6 to 8. I would give it almost as bad as 2018. 2018 was really rough. I mean, I vividly remember what things were like during that time, but the feeling was different as well, because in 2018 we knew that we were getting some kind of Star Wars shows in the future. The movies were still coming. We were looking towards the end.
You
of the
still
movie.
had the last sequel trilogy movie at that point. We still had some ounce of hope of
and
maybe it was just one bad movie.
Well, and we still had this feeling of there's going to be a lot more Star Wars in the future. So the future is kind of unknown. And that feeling is still the same right now. But I always say with Lucasfilm now, we have experience with them. So saying that we have a future for Star Wars in 2024 and saying it in 2018, they mean very different things. And so I feel like the feeling in 2024 is actually worse than 2018, because, yeah, we have more Star Wars coming out, but we've had so much coming out in the past 5 years. Do you really want more? It's a very different situation that we have right now, ending 2024 and going into 2025. And we're going to try to do this in a chronological order of when things happened throughout the year, because they are almost forgetful. The beginning of the year in January, they did announce the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And I think that was a really big point of this year, because it's a movie announcement that really came from Lucasfilm as opposed to the trilogy and all that stuff. And so I want to give my thoughts on it, but I want to get to you guys first before I ramble on about this. Lunga, basically with every topic we're going to be talking about is, was this a good or bad thing for 2024? When you look at the announcement for the Mandalorian and Grogu, was that good or bad for this year, or did it have any impact on it at all?
For me, looking at the movie, the idea of the movie and the announcement of the movie, it was a good thing. I'm like, okay, Mandalorian was good overall. Season 3 had its issues, but Mandalorian was good overall. We knew there was going to be some Mandoverse movies coming, so I'm like, this is a good thing. The movie in of itself wasn't a bad thing, but the how, the why, the when of the announcement was the fucking problem, because it showed us once again Lucasfilm doesn't know what the hell they're doing with their slate. That's the problem, and it's a shame. I'm not letting it tarnish whatever excitement I have for the movie, but it's this sword of Damocles hanging over my head. If I start to get excited about it, I feel like that sword at any moment is just gonna fall down on me and impale me through my skull.
Yeah. My thoughts are similar to his, but a little bit different. The second this was announced, I'm like, okay, so everything else that they announced at Star Wars Celebration is fucked. That was my reaction. Because this was such a clear, I mean, there's so many words I can use for this. It was such a clear, one, desperate move, two, sudden change in the movie slate. And so it was very apparent to me at that moment that, okay, they know they need to get a movie out soon because Bob Iger's pissed. And so because I can only assume the Rey movie script wasn't going well at the time, as it's not going well now. We can assume the same happened there. I'm sure Dawn of the Jedi wasn't even close to being remotely done with the script. And so they, in panic, they were rushed to accumulate, I guess, this film that's going to exist. And I'm very indifferent from you two. I don't want to say I'm against the movie in of itself, but at the same time I am, because we know now there's supposed to be season 4. There was supposed to be season 4. Now it's just like, hey, scrap that, put it in the big screen. And that just feels wrong to me. It just doesn't feel like the right move, and it's desperation.
I think this announcement actually set the tone for the year. It felt not only out of left field, but it really gave us this feeling that, like you guys are saying, there's some shakeups going on behind the scenes at Lucasfilm, and this movie would be the best option for them. And of course, later in the year, this was confirmed to be the case, but now we know that this is going to be the only Star Wars movie releasing in 2026, which we all kind of, I don't think ever wanted to admit, but did expect. I mean, come on, them releasing 2 Star Wars films in 1 year, they had a lot of time to plan for it and clearly could not do it. So this announcement, I feel like a few years ago, I brought up 2018 earlier. If this was announced in like 2021 or something, or 2022, the feeling would be a lot different. But since this came out so soon after Star Wars Celebration, where they announced 3 other movies, one of them being a Mandalorian movie, it felt weird. It felt like something was off when they announced it. Why would you announce your first movie and your, upcoming release schedule after you announced 3 other movies? And I like this news, and I firmly believe that Mandalorian and Grogu deserve to be on the big screen, but the truth be told, this announcement at the beginning of the year left us more concerned than excited. Regardless, I still think that this is going to be a solid movie. I have faith in Jon Favreau as the writer, director, producer. My big concern is, like Palpatine was just brought up, is like, how are you going to adapt a 4th season of this series into a brand new movie, especially after season 3 changing the tone so significantly? It leaves the question of what would season 4 have been like. And so we're going to see in May 2026 what this movie means, if this is going to actually, hit or not. But in terms of good or bad for the year of 2024, I actually do think this was kind of good news. We know what's coming next now, for sure. There's a lot of uncertainty in the future of Star Wars. It's nice to have something that's certain. What's certain is we're getting Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026.
Well, we have basically a trailer.
Is it for sure? Because we did think for sure we were getting the Rey movie first.
Well,
they didn't say anything with that. That's the difference.
We have footage
they
for
didn't
this one
commit to
least.
anything.
Yeah.
This has been on track the whole time, and I think what's good about it being the next thing is that it's mostly what we've been keeping up with for the past 5 years. So, this helped give us some confidence on what to expect going forward. Um, and for the year of 2024, I do think this added something nice to it.
It's what I said the moment they announced it, the moment everything else was coming up, and everything is, this is their sure thing.
Yep.
It's their sure thing. So they're like, we know we could put this out, that at the very least, it'll be well received. At the very least. That's how
We'll
they
see.
look at it.
You're going to make your money back at bare minimum. And the merch
Again,
is going to do phenomenal.
Yeah, the merch is going to do phenomenal. They'll make their money back at the bare minimum. And by well received, this is what I mean by that. Season 3, it was most of us sweaty nerds that saw the big issues with it. The general audiences, I got to be honest with you, the general audience probably didn't see much of a difference between season 2 and season 3.
Well, and the numbers actually are still really, really good for season 3. Truth be told, I mean, it is. They're very, very solid.
Because the general audience didn't care.
Mandalorian does.
It was fine. It was more Mandalorian. It was like, okay, we got Mandalorian. Grogu's back. Which is what the general audience wanted because they want their little green guy.
Well, and it's so funny to me looking at the Mandalorian seasons 1, 2, and 3 because you bring up the general audience and their reception to it. To me, it's almost like the original trilogy, where everyone loved season 1. Season 2 was different, but loved and arguably better than season 1. And then you get to season 3, and it's like, well, this is kind of like Return of the Jedi. A little corny. Maybe we're overstaying our welcome here, but I still like it. It's still the Mandalorian. It's still Grogu. It's worse than the other two, but it's still magic kind of situation. So I think that is there, but I definitely think the highs of like Return of the Jedi is different than the highs of
I'd say like the only reason we say that is because it's got the foundation of the Mandalorian, which is a very simple story. It's very easy to enjoy and stuff. But when it comes to like an actual storyline, for me personally, there's nothing there in that season that captivated me. So the only things I enjoyed about it were the fact that it is the Mandalorian and Grogu. And so that's what worries me about this movie is they literally took, I guess you could call it the status quo from that season 1 and 2 built up, and then you just reset it back to the end of season 1. Except Moff Gideon is maybe dead. Everything's back to square one, and now the movie's basically reset.
I still believe. Again, there's no proof on this, but this is what I believe. I still believe Book of Bob fucked that all up. That they had to use that shit in Book of Bob because what they had wasn't good. Because it felt shoehorned in. Those episodes did not feel like that was the plan for Book of Boba from the beginning. That felt like something they, right before the premiere, during editing, the month or two before, they're like, you know what? I think we need to put this in. And that hurt season 3, doing it the way they did it.
Yeah, I would say with that point, I think the problem is they weren't planning more than 2 seasons for The Mandalorian, but because of its success, they kind of like, oh, we got to keep this shit going. That's how I look at it.
They were planning at least 3 seasons for that series.
I don't know about that one. I really think it was originally supposed to be 2 seasons, and then after the success of the first season, they immediately started immediately started filming again after season 1 got released. They decided from that point after season 1 got released that, hey, we need to keep this going. That's how it feels to me. I don't have proof or evidence of that, but that's how it seems.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting topic. But I do want to get to Ahsoka season 2 because this one is it happened at the exact same time as The Mandalorian Grogu was announced, literally the same day. But don't forget that Ahsoka season 1 ended months before season 2 was even announced. So the fact that this came out on the same day was telling on what they planned for the future of Star Wars. And it's kind of funny now looking at it because you might get both of these projects.
It was the anti acolyte, right? Instead of like immediately saying we're not doing it, they like quicker than anything said, "Yep, we're doing another season."
On a string, especially with the cliffhanger at the end of it. So long ago when you saw the Mandalorian and Grogu movie announced, and then you look at the little subtitles at the very bottom, says, "Oh, and by the way, we're doing Ahsoka season 2 with Dave Filoni." What did that make you feel? And the reason this I think is a pinpoint for 2024 is specifically because we did not know we were going to get a season 2 up until the beginning of this year. I feel like that's kind of a crux to this conversation of Ahsoka season 2. How did you feel about this, Longa?
I mean, I remember when we were talking about it, you guys, even our little internal discussions, not necessarily in the stream, you guys were like, well, it has, in those month or two afterwards, it hasn't been greenlit, hasn't been greenlit yet. It hasn't been green. And I'm like, it's going to, it's going to, of course they're going to, it's going to happen. And so it didn't surprise me. Even at the speed of which they did it, it didn't surprise me because next to the Mandalorian, I think they feel, or at least Dave Filoni feels, Ahsoka's safe. And they started, even though there was some people that were complaining, there was some people that were worried, like, oh, I don't want you touching Aboleth. I don't want you touching, all this other stuff. And there is, despite the problems that the show had at some points, an intriguing story being told there. And it's heading into a realm we have not seen really in Star Wars. The actual thing in Star Wars that we haven't seen that we would like to see, unlike what people thought about with the Acolyte. There's some good going on there. It's a shame that we lost Ray Stevenson. Rest in peace. Who they get to replace him is going to be interesting to see. But I liked it. I also liked it, when in the time since digesting it and not, I don't do full rewatches, but I do watch clips. I do rewatch different things about the show as it goes on. And I appreciated that the droid, oh my god, what's the droid's name? The trainer droid.
Oh,
the old droid. H starts with an H.
Hugh Yang.
Thank you. I appreciated that he said that Sabine would have never been accepted into the Jedi Order during its time. That she just does not have enough in the Force. But Ahsoka sees something in her, and even though she's not that strong in the Force, she could still do what she needs to do. So I appreciate that, we had, we always had that kind of hints of Sabine in Rebels that she was Force sensitive and had some kind of stuff going on. So it wasn't like a new thing like people tried thinking it was. I appreciated that they're saying, yeah, she is, but she's not maybe what Finn was supposed to be, in the sequel trilogy. So I appreciated that. We had some misses with the whole everybody gets stabbed with a lightsaber and survives deal, and stuff like that. But, the statues at the end, what's going to go on with Shin. I was happy when I heard about season 2 being greenlit, and I wasn't surprised. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do this.
Balp memes?
In hindsight, it makes sense that there was a season 2. And I was saying, like, oh, I'm not sure if they're going to make a season 2 of it. Just because of how Disney Lucasfilm has operated with Star Wars, I'm never going to say this is definitely happening. But it being announced, yeah, it makes sense and stuff. And we still don't have a filming date from my understanding, so I'm curious when this will even release. I'm guessing in the same year that The Mandalorian Grogu, 2026. It's definitely not coming out next year. I think the only show we're getting next year is Andor. I like what Lunga said. There are parts of Ahsoka where I'm like, oh, that's interesting, right? But everything with Baylan and Shin, I dug. I thought it was really, really cool. I'd rather have a show about those two, than Ahsoka. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, it's a shame Rey is gone, but his place can be filled to a certain extent with a replacement actor. I'm excited the potential with Abeloth and where they're going on. What's that planet called? Starts with a P. Peridea. Yeah, that place is cool. I'm still terrified that Skeleton Crew's going to be tied into it, and they're going to be on that planet because it's an unknown galaxy. I'm gonna shoot myself in the head if that happens. That
was my theory all along.
No, the second they said unknown galaxy.
Ahsoka's new students. That's what they're going to be.
Fuck them kids, bro. I hope that little elephant-looking dude gets chopped in half by Shin's lightsaber. But it's Dave Filoni. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a lot like season 1. It's gonna be okay at best. But for a lot of Star Wars fans, it's gonna be enjoyable, and that's really all I have when it comes to my expectations for season 2. I don't have much more other than that.
But
real quick before Only goes.
Well, he's asking me a question.
Darth Prime said I heard it's filming in the UK. We all heard that. It's Daniel RPK, so grain of salt.
Well, no. The thing with Daniel RPK is that he said that. But what pisses me off is that he said that months after Bespin Bulletin said the same fucking thing. So Bespin is extremely reliable. So Are they going to film in April? It's probably leaning more towards yes. They're more
It would
than
make
likely going to
sense.
film
It
in
wouldn't make sense for
spring
that to be
of
filmed in
that
April.
year.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no concrete anything with that. So we're talking about Ahsoka season 2, and when it comes to what this did for 2024, just the announcement in of itself, this news actually concerned me more than excited me. I did not hate Ahsoka season 1. It did have some great moments, we called banger moments, even though we really didn't start saying banger until the Acolyte. Um, I am fond of a lot of the highs of this series, but it had consistent lows, and it really lacked in the writing department. And, the fact that season 2 got greenlit many months after season 1 ended, I think is cause for some concern on the faith that Disney and Lucasfilm have in this show. And truth be told, I don't think we've talked about this aspect of it. I think that the budget for season 2 might even be less than what it was for season 1, just because of the numbers that this show did. I feel like we saw with this, just based off the Nielsen numbers that we've been looking at for these Star Wars shows, that Ahsoka is almost the base of what you need for a Star Wars show to get greenlit. It actually, it didn't do less than Andor consistently, but Andor had higher highs than Ahsoka. It's such a weird thing looking at these numbers. But I think Ahsoka season 1 did just enough and had just the right person behind it, Dave Filoni, for Disney and Lucasfilm to say, okay, we'll give this a shot.
And it had Hayden that draws in interest.
Yeah, but even looking
What's
at the
funny,
numbers,
though,
it really
what's-
didn't do that much for it.
That's
though.
what I was gonna say. When we
but
got the numbers for it, it really didn't boost it all that much, if any. That
because all
surprised
those
me.
fans were already baked into
They
the
already
cake
knew
with
he
that
was
show.
going to be in it, so they were already ready.
Yes.
Hayden Christensen,
Everything with that
listen,
show.
I love Hayden Christensen. I really like the prequel trilogy. It's I grew up on them. They're not well beloved except for this little core fandom. I'm sorry, they just aren't, and people need to accept that.
I wouldn't say it's a
understand that.
little core fandom. I would say it's a big part of it.
Okay,
But
yeah,
it's
sure.
not a big deal anymore.
It's not
really.
enough to where it's going to be like, holy
a
shit.
certain YouTuber that's quite large, most of his fans are
Well,
all...
honestly, yeah. Well, I'll give a perfect example. One that did work is No Way Home, a $2 billion movie. That works, right? That's not Hayden Christensen. It's kind of what I was saying, right? We do have these similar tropes going on in Hollywood. Hayden's wasn't as big as Tobey Maguire coming back.
Well,
So
you already had Hayden come back with Kenobi, so to have him coming back for Ahsoka season 1, it was like, oh, he's back again. And like we were talking about, the rumor for the show is that it's going to be in production in April of 2025. Meaning, at the very least,
There is a slight difference. Hold on. Don't compare it. There is a difference. He was Darth Vader. He wasn't Anakin. He was Darth Vader. Okay, and
what?
In
he was
Ahsoka,
Anakin and Darth Vader in both of them.
Okay, no. In Kenobi, he was Darth Vader. He was never Anakin. I mean,
Yes,
we
he
had a
was. You saw
flashback
many-
scene.
Yeah,
we had a
yeah, you had
flashback
scenes with
scene.
him as- yeah.
Right. It was one flashback. It was like one little flashback scene. It wasn't
present
in
the
the
story. Like,
freaked the fuck out about it with that cringy ass smile he has.
Right. He was there to play Darth Vader. In Ahsoka, he was there to play a foil of Anakin, Darth Vader, light side, dark side.
I
was
don't
a little
think
different.
Any of that really matters, though. I think him just being in season 1 for Kenobi and then following up with Ahsoka, the return of Hayden Christensen wasn't the appeal anymore. But anyways, when it comes to season 2, though, I mean, he's probably going to be in that anyways. But it releasing, in my opinion, after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, the second season announcement in and of itself, I feel like is a problem because it's a 3-year gap between seasons. If you do 2 years, maybe I can give you some leeway. Maybe you start filming at the end of the first season's run, and it's going to take a year and a half to get out, and it's kind of like 2 years with marketing and all that, whatever. But a 3-year gap between season 1 and 2, when season 1 wasn't really a big deal to begin with, I feel like the excitement for season 2 is only going to dwindle as time goes on. So once again, this is kind of one of those like boring news that we had this year where it's like, Lucasfilm, do you really have a plan for these storylines, especially something as big as Ahsoka with someone like Dave Filoni being the showrunner? I think it's very concerning. I think it's very concerning that it took a while to get greenlit, and I also think it's concerning that the story was not planned out enough or written out in terms of an entire series to go, okay, now the second season is greenlit, we can start production this year. No, what happened is the second season got greenlit, and it seems like Dave Filoni started writing right after that happened. And we're just now getting to the point where not only the scripts are done and approved, but we can start in pre-production, get ready for, filming of the show. I'm really concerned about the second season because of so many, outside factors to this, but the combination of things, if this is going to be a 3-year gap between the seasons, I think it's going to have less of a budget than season 1 because the views were not all that stellar. And you have Dave Filoni, who is writing and directing it, when we've seen his work in not only Star Wars but live action now, where it's like, all right, you could use a co-writer, Dave, or something like that, or another director to kind of help you out.
I gotta push back a little bit. The money stuff, especially after the Acolyte, they're going to be cutting stuff across the board. They're going to be trying to slim down on a lot of stuff, and so I don't think that's a direct 1-to-1 correlation. Like, for example, if the Acolyte was a hit, I don't think Ahsoka's budget would have changed. I think it would have been the same. So we have something there that's going to cause a change in how they view things. And as far as the 2 months in between, before greenlighting it, I don't think that's a big deal because we rarely hear things from Lucasfilm. We don't hear things always right away. It takes time. And Ray Stevenson died. Maybe they had to go figure out what they were going to do or how they were going to do it. And
there was other something like Andor
circumstances
confirmed. Before Andor even started filming, we knew we were going to get multiple seasons. It was going to be 5. Then they were like, okay, it might be best to do 3. And then when they had it written out, they were like, okay, actually, story-wise, this is going to work best with 2. So going into Andor season 1, you knew where you're going to get a season 2. That is an unknown character compared to something like Ahsoka. So to go into Ahsoka and do season 1 and then not know at the end of it that you're going to get a season 2, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's
Andor is tying their movies in with the original trilogy. It is a complete tie-in that holds more importance to them.
Well, Ahsoka is supposed to be tying into the Heirs of the Empire, Mandalorian, Trilogy, and everything. New movies, all that stuff.
New movies. Andor is Rogue One and A New Hope. Okay, and it ties all this together. It sounds like to me
you're saying Andor is more planned out than Ahsoka is, and I
think
that's a problem.
Not necessarily more planned out. It's higher on their scale of importance overall because it ties movies together that they already have out there. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's why. And I think they noticed, even internally at least, that wow, we had some really good writing on this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't know, man. I'm nervous about Ahsoka season 2. But one thing we don't have to be nervous about anymore because it's over. It's me and Lunga's favorite show that Star Wars has ever made.
Uh-oh.
The Bad Batch season 3.
Hey, why am I not grouped in with you guys? Come on.
Because you weren't on the fucking show for most of the Bad Batch season 3. Me and Lunga.
Fuck you. We had to suffer.
Yes, I was.
Just me and him.
No, you were not.
Season 2.
No.
Hold on a second. No. I'm going back to the Chatooine Show channel right now. I'm going to get the facts right here.
Up. When season 3 was happening, me and Lunga were here week after week in the fucking trenches.
You may have been here. Okay, Goldman.
Hold on,
you were here for one of them.
I'm going back. I'm starting from the back. Okay, hold on. I was there for the finale. I was there for the one before that, which was with fucking Ventress. Let's see. How often?
Okay, now that you already lost the thread after 2, how many episodes of Bad Batch were there? Only?
No, we didn't do it. We didn't do a show for every episode. We did a show every 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah,
I was here for. Hold on a second. I was here for I think every single one of these. It just was season 2 that I missed. Hold on, guys. Yeah,
I don't remember.
Okay, did I make the premiere though? Okay, I didn't make the premiere. That's what it was. But I made all the other episodes. We did.
Anywho,
sorry, I just had to get that straight.
When it came to Bad Batch season 3 for Star Wars in 2024, was it good or bad?
This ass.
What's the name of the show?
Man. Shut the fuck up, Lunga. You're not Lunga.
I'm speaking for Lunga. It was ass.
What's the name? What's the name of the show?
What's the Chatooine Show?
The bad. Okay, just stop at bad. You don't need to say the stuff after that. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was. I mean, and I can't even say I was disappointed. I mean, there was some disappointing things. Exactly. I can't say I was disappointed because I knew it was going to be ass. It just confirmed it for me. But did one thing consistently. The one thing they did consistently with this show is tease you with something that they never do anything with. Every single season, every 3 to 4 episodes, they would throw something out there just to hook you, and then don't do shit with it or fuck it up. That's what they did again consistently. And it's like, at the very least, at the end, I was even saying, listen, I hated most of the season. Again, hated most of the series. And at the end, at least give me a death. Make it a tragic, heroic death that Omega remembers when she looks back. No, they're all just sitting there old, fondly sitting there chilling. I'm like, okay, this is bogus. And I know Tech died, but that was in the middle of the season. That wasn't even, that wasn't at the end.
No, that wasn't even. That was season 2.
Season 2, the end. End of season 2. Sorry, end of season 2. But yeah, I'm like, I was expecting a Hunter death. I was expecting a big sacrifice from Hunter, but it didn't happen. And the ending was just dumb. Now she's just another new person that's part of the rebellion during A New Hope, because that's what's going to end up happening. We're going to see her again. I swear to God, they better not fuck up Andor and have her in fucking Andor, because I will lose my shit. But
I remember my brothers, Teak, Rekka,
because she'd be older, but she'd still be a good prime age to be part of the rebellion.
So, Pal Memes, are you sticking with your it sucked?
It's trash. It's just trash. And what frustrates me more is not the fact that it was made, but the fact that it was made and something else wasn't made instead. You throw all these resources. Something I've given it credit to all 3 seasons is that it looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. The CGI animation is great. It's wasted on that, though. I don't care about this story about a bunch of, different clones, I'll say. I just don't care. I don't care about the prequel era anymore. I say that as a prequel guy. It's overstayed its welcome. They're oversaturating the hell out of the era. Give me something new. Hell, I didn't like the High Republic books, the one I read, but I'm still interested in the era. Why couldn't they have done something with that? Oh, yeah, because that would require planning and, creativity. So, yeah, that makes sense. It's trash.
I'll say for me, with the Bad Batch season 3, or just the Bad Batch as a series in of itself, it was a keep the fans busy series. That's all it did. It didn't make any lasting memories. And it's honestly kind of funny looking back at some of these animated shows, because I feel like the Clone Wars, even Rebels, honestly, season 3 was kind of the chance for Star Wars to give this series some real substance and meaning. But the first 2 seasons, they spent more time on filler episodes than character arcs or meaningful storylines that kept us engaged. And it's been a while, honestly, since I've seen a Star Wars animated series end, and then less than a year later, there's no conversation around it. Us talking about the Bad Batch tonight has been the most conversation around this series since it ended. We've had so many things to say about the Clone Wars, not only when it ended with season 6 and we never thought we were going to get a season 7, but when season 7 came out and ended, there was so much conversations around that throughout 2020. It went on for a year almost. Even with Rebels, there are still people talking about Rebels. To this day, there is still a fandom happy to talk about it to this day. There was speculation at the end of those 4 seasons. There is no conversation around Bad Batch within the same
There's
year
a very,
that it released.
Very small number of people.
More people are talking about how much they love the Acolyte than they did Bad Batch.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. And because even it's so funny, because I vividly remember, it's all on Star Wars Twitter, mind you, too, about the Bad Batch fans. But I remember them talking a month after it ended, being like, why is no one talking about the Bad Batch anymore? And it's one of those things where it's I don't think some of you people realize sometimes you just like
it's
bad
trash.
things. Yes, it's just
okay
not
to
a
like
good
something
show.
that's not that good. I like a lot of the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy's trash.
Okay, now you're stealing my you're stealing my lines now, Papa Beams. You're stealing my lines. My main line has always been, it's okay to like trash. I like a lot of trash.
Well,
I know it's trash.
You're my brother, my Italian brother, and I'm following your footsteps. Okay.
Again, the most important thing, and if people don't get it, like you said, it's okay to like it. Just acknowledge that it's trash.
Yeah, and don't blame people for not. That's like
Right.
saying fucking probably a fucking Acolyte, which we'll get to. So don't blame the fans for
it's
not
not
liking it
even-
because it just sucks.
I wouldn't even say don't blame people for it. I would say, well, if you know it's trash and you like it, please stop asking for more. Okay,
And
Do
stop
the
asking
rest
for
of
other
us a
people to
favor.
like it. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
Do the rest of us a favor and let us move on from stuff like this. And I think the Bad Batch is such a sad tale for Lucasfilm because I remember with season 2, the premiere numbers and the finale numbers were literally within a spitting like less than a percentage off from each other.
And I
it
will
was a
say,
significant drop off from season 1. Season 1 had the
'cause you
best
know the
ratings. They
argument-
never had that again.
you know what the whole argument always is. It's like, well, it's made for kids. It's made for kids. Okay, I will say this. While it was a little more mature for a kid show, it really was meant for kids. More than anything, more than anything that they've done in a while.
I think it was meant for the core fandom in a way because it really brought up a lot of
it's
stuff.
meant.
that
It's
you-
meant.
yeah,
It's
come on,
meant. It was
Ventress,
meant for
Cad
the
Bane,
millennial
all
parents.
all these other
It
things.
was meant
they
for the
would never pick
millennial
up on
man.
that.
Stop it. It was meant for the millennial parents who had 5-year-olds to 9-year-olds to sit down in front of them to watch Star Wars with. That's what it was meant for.
Yeah, well, they
families.
didn't even tune in for that either because the numbers just plummeted after season 1. I think this was not for just kids. I think this was for the Star Wars base, the people who will be there for no matter what for Star Wars and just want more Star Wars. That's what this show was, and even those people,
The
got
whole
fed. After
Palpatine
season
hook
1,
that went nowhere.
nowhere, absolutely nowhere. It was such
Guys,
a
sequel trilogy fans are winning, guys. We're winning because they're tying to the sequel
Sure.
trilogy. How'd that work out? Yeah, can we talk about the fucking Rise of Skywalker comic that's getting re-released because they trashed it in 2019?
But new scenes,
Sequel
Palpatine.
trilogy fans are winning,
What
guys.
you've been waiting,
We're winning.
what you've been waiting
Fucking
for.
hate it, dude.
Now that
The
3
lost
seasons of The Bad
footage,
Batch came
the
out.
lost footage that you've been asking for years. It's going to be right there on the pages of the comic book, right there for you.
If I
And it's
see,
gonna
if
be
I,
great.
if I, next topic.
But it's well, we're actually sticking to the animated stuff because up next is another animated
jeez.
series,
Fucking
not Tales of the
good show.
Jedi, not Tales of the Jedi season 2, but Tales of the Empire. You put up your hands. So I mean, what the fuck was that?
Lunga gets to go first.
He put up his hands like the dealer at a casino, you know.
Yeah, you're clean, brother. You're clean. Lunga, was this a good or bad thing for 2024? Did we all say if it was good or bad for 2024 with Bad Batch season 3? I'm gonna say it was not.
No,
good
we
for
didn't.
these-
It's bad. We said it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was
yeah,
bad.
Oh, I have
It
to
was
answer.
So,
I don't
so
have to
Tales
answer.
of the Empire, good or bad for 2024, Lunga?
Overall, good. I mean, there's a lot of people. For me, it was good, and I got to keep coming back to this because there was a lot of people that just weren't interested. I know that there was a lot of people that weren't interested in Tales of the Jedi as much. You know what I mean? So, but I thought it was okay. I again, there was another show that I liked a little bit better than you guys. You know, you were hating on Dooku. Only.
We're talking about different aspects of this though, because yes, I did not like Tales of the Jedi, but when this one came out, I really did enjoy Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, you did. I just say when I didn't say you hated it. I said I liked it a little bit better.
You like Tales of the Jedi more. I think I liked this either as equal as you, Tales of
No.
the Empire, or more.
I'd have to go back and look at our show, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I liked every. You had some complaints about Dooku. You were like, why is it?
But that's season
like
1. That's
the-
a completely different series. Though. We're talking about Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Empire was the one with Morgan Elsbeth Barrisafi.
Morgan
Tales of
Elsbeth.
the
You're
Jedi.
right. You're right.
Yeah, Tales of the Jedi.
I thought
was
Dooku was
and
in
Ahsoka.
there too.
No, he was only in Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Empire was.
He was on
Barrisafi
Tales Jedi. Okay,
and
okay.
Morgan
Barrisafi,
Elsbeth,
yes.
yeah.
There's all the new people. Yes. No, it was really good. I thought it was good, and for similar reasons that I talked about what's going on with Ahsoka season 2, that it took us places that we hadn't really seen. You know what I mean? And it gave us it really fleshed out Elsbeth, you know, more than what we had already, and I enjoyed it. And you know, Barrisafi, you know, obviously it was like, what happened to Barrisafi? Well, here we go. There it is. You know, and we got all that with her in there too. So I thought it was really good. And I know people always bitch at me about this because I always have animated stuff on a different tier than live action. I just do. Um, was it good for 2024? Yes. Did it move the needle for Star Wars though? I don't think so.
Pal memes, you know you're next, buddy.
Oh, I like you. I like you announcing me. I like to wait on that. It's a nice flow for the show. I
You make
consider
the
it.
flow.
I know, man. I consider it neutral. I don't think it was good or bad. I enjoyed the show. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was like good or anything. I just thought it was fine. I had no problems with it. From what I remember, it was neutral. Like Lungus, it didn't move the needle. It wasn't like a big W for Star Wars fans, like everyone likes to say with every fucking thing that happens. Everything's a W for Star Wars fans. Whatever. It was fine.
Wasn't a banger?
Cool. It wasn't a banger. It definitely wasn't a banger. I mean, it was fine. The animation was great, per usual. I think Lucasfilm's animation team does a great job with this stuff. The music was really good. Yeah, Grievous was cool. I guess I like Grievous in it. But yeah, it was a very quick, simple. Was it released on May the 4th, right? Was that when it released?
Yeah.
It was something for Star Wars fans. No one watched it besides the very hardcore Star Wars fans. That's it.
Well, see, actually, I think this is better than what most fans would give it credit for. I think something like this is actually better for the franchise than Bad Batch, because Bad Batch is something that feels like it's watering down the brand. I would argue these tales that they're doing kind of enhance it. I wasn't a fan of what they did with Dooku or Ahsoka in Tales of the Jedi, just because I disagreed with the way they explored that character, Dooku, and what they did with Ahsoka. I'm just tired of her. But with Tales of the Empire, they explored Barriss Offee in a very unique way that is very satisfying, because it's something we've been wondering for a very long time. So this wasn't something you had to put so much into, but it's the way I try to frame this, and what I mean by this is, when Disney did not own Lucasfilm and it was still under Lucas, a lot of the books, a lot of what happened in the Clone Wars, a lot of that stuff gave Star Wars fans something to sink their teeth into, to go, oh, we got this new Darth Bane trilogy. That's cool. There's so much stuff going on behind this. Who would win? Darth Bane versus, I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn, maybe Darth Sidious. Just stuff you could kind of wonder about Star Wars for a little while. I feel like Bad Batch doesn't give you that. But I feel like Tales of the Empire, exploring Morgan Elsbeth, kind of filling out that history a little bit more. Same with Barriss Offee. It explores the universe in a meaningful way, while also telling stories that we actually did have a vested interest in. So I do think this was not only good for Star Wars in 2024, I think these little short series things that they're doing is actually overall good for the brand, because it's not something that is going to take away from it because it's 3 seasons long of nothing, but it's not something that's going to fundamentally change what Star Wars is, like the next topic would be. So I also think Tales of the Empire was a banger of a show, but the next one, God help us, not the power of one, not the power of two, the power of many, the Acolyte. God damn, did this bad boy cook. Lunga, tell us why this was a banger show. Tell us why this was the best thing that not only ever happened in Star Wars, but in 2024. Or are these alternative facts?
It got canceled in 2024. So there's the positive.
It was so
that was
woke.
A good day. That was a good day.
It got canceled by the woke.
I like that day. That was fun.
Me and you did a stream that day, Palp Memes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Your audio was horrible. Everyone commented on that. Thank you.
I was using AirPods.
I know, you slick son of a bitch. My first return stream, and you just want to tank it with your quality. Lunga, the Acolyte in 2024.
What can I say that hasn't already been said at this point?
Just recap.
It just was so bad. And again, and I'll say this again, because everyone loves to do the, oh, you just hate it. Oh, you just hate women. You just hate this, hate that, and all that other bullshit that's out there, and all the people that are loving it, and another certain a YouTuber, Star Wars YouTuber that I got into a tit-a-tat with on Twitter too, because immediately I must be this if I don't like this. No, what pisses me off the most is that it was my most anticipated show, knowing Leslie Headland, and I'm like, give her a chance. She can cook. Okay. When I saw the first 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, but you know what? There's still a chance. Even after episode 3, which is when everybody lost their shit. Okay. I was like, you know what? Listen, they can still do something good here. And every episode I was saying that and saying that and saying that. And there was some of the performances, some of the performances were so fucking good. Okay. A Soul's arc was one of the better arcs in that show. Okay. And the performance of the actor was spectacular. Okay. I liked Manny Jacinto. I thought he did a great job as a Sith. And I didn't like him in the first couple episodes, but I'm like, well, hold on. What does it do? Hide in plain sight, right? I'm like, okay, and he did that turn great. I liked the little things they added on with the helmet he had of the material. What's the name of the material? Starts with a C. Kurtosis, yes. I like the Kurtosis thing. I like, people gave a lot of shit about the head. I thought the headbutt was pretty fucking cool, especially because it's Kurtosis. I didn't mind the choreography of the fight. There was some really good bones in this stew. The problem is the meat you threw in was fucking squirrel meat. Okay? And I don't like squirrel meat. And I don't care how much you try to tell me. I don't care how much you try to. I was definitely salty afterwards. But I don't care, how much people are out there. And I really believe, and I looked at it a few times, telling you guys, 75% of those people on Twitter are sock accounts. They're not even real fucking accounts. And they're just doing it to try, and they still boasting this 80,000 signatures. Bro, do you understand that's nothing? That is nothing. 80,000 signatures, and that's assuming they're all real. I'm of the mind at least 50% of them are not. Okay, at least 50% of them.
And you know what's funny too about that? It's 80,000 signatures. The Bad Batch season 2 premiere and season 2 finale
had more fucking viewers than that shit.
No. Actually,
had less
by 3,000.
Okay.
It had 77, according to Samba. So if we're going off of Samba, it definitely had more than what that's reporting because it only gets a part of the market. But that's still really low. The Gina Carano petition to get her back has more signatures than the Acolyte renewal. Same with the Knights of the Republic being on Netflix.
Sense8, the show on Netflix, which was a LGBTQ fever dream. This show, I liked it. I thought it was a great show. It was an LGBTQ fever dream. Got canceled, and they got a shit ton of fucking millions of people or no, it was almost 1 million. I think it was 900,000 or something. But it was a lot of people that signed a petition for that show to come back. Okay, Star Trek: The Original Series was canceled. CBS, when people actually handwritten letters, millions of handwritten letters were mailed in to CBS to bring back the original Star Trek: The Original Series. 80,000 is nothing. Now, again, if they enjoyed it, I'm not trying to yuck their yum. If you enjoyed it, more power to you. Watch it on replay over and over again. But you can't be surprised it got canceled. And you can't say there's something wrong with everybody that A, didn't care if it was canceled, B, are as glad it's canceled, or C, the people at Disney that canceled it, who apparently are all racist and homophobics and misogynist because they canceled this show. Motherfucker, they gave you the show with all the shit that you wanted, and now they're the. Make up your mind. Okay, make up your fucking mind. The show is just bad. At the end of the day, they dropped the ball hard, and then stuck a knife in it and deflated it. Okay, so it's just bad. So the highlight of that show in 2024 is when it got canceled.
With Lunga, the show was so frustrating on every aisle it could be, and it was kind of the show that just literally kind of drove me out of Star Wars pretty much. Not for good, but like to where I am now, where I'm like, this does not matter to me nearly as much as it could, the franchise as a whole, because not only was the show ass, but the fandom reaction, you know, people that I'm friends with was just, it was, I'll use an R word, ridiculous. It blows my mind that people still have this rhetoric that the reason that show bombed is not because of its horrible storytelling, not because of its poor writing, you know, we can go on, but because everyone that disliked it, or a majority of people that disliked it, they're racist. They don't like women. And there's a show that came out that, universally everyone fucking loved, and even those that didn't really enjoy it still said it was good. And that show was called Andor. It had an extremely diverse cast. It even had a lesbian couple in it. Not a single peep about that. Every fucking person, except for, okay, don't get me wrong, you have a 0.0001% of trolls that they're just, they're probably bots, honestly. Let's be real. They're probably fucking bot accounts. But if we take like the geeks and gamers or some shit, I don't even fucking know if they're relevant anymore. Yeah, they're trolls. They get money off of this grift, so do not count them in for the majority of a fandom. The fact that as many critiques as you can make, like actual, like real objective critiques you can make for the Acolytes, you just get shadowed by the Star Wars fans are racist and they don't like black people. It's just, it baffles my mind. And so that was the biggest frustration part of me, is like people that I was, kind of buddies with pulling that. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are stupid. Like, you are just stupid. I'm mask off. It's just stupid. Just be honest with yourself. The show was not that good. Cool. If you like that's great. It just wasn't that good. And I do feel sorry to an extent. It's kind of funny, but I feel sorry to an extent for those that genuinely love the show and wanted it to continue. Because it sucks. I get it. Like, yeah, you have a story and stuff you want to continue. I get that. But holy shit, like, stop being so fucking delusional. Like, live in the real world. Disney is a business. They're there to make money. And when a show that costed, like, what, $300 million makes nothing on a platform that is not doing so well, yeah, don't be so delusional and act surprised that it got canceled and blame Star Wars fans for its being canceled. That's so stupid.
Yeah,
so
and then of course they always go back to, Andor, they spend more money on Andor, and its ratings weren't great either, and it's like, okay, you guys.
Oh, yeah, but Andor at the very, very, very least had an uptrend of viewers because of its good performance. Okay, yeah. Because it was good. It had
Emmy nominated.
Emmy nominated is huge for Disney Plus, considering most Disney Plus originals are ass. The Acolyte sucks. I'm sorry. The choreography was cool. What else am I supposed to say? The story sucked. The characters were bland. A lot of the acting was trash, besides a few people. Sorry.
And I'll throw this in. If me and Only have talked about this a lot too, but Disney needs to take a page out of Warner Brothers and HBO. Okay? The Penguin is the best show by leaps and bounds of 2024.
How they got a writer so professional and of quality for that season.
Holy shit.
And then we get Leslie Headland with The Acolyte from Lucasfilm.
Not one show, not one episode of that series was bad. Every single episode was a banger. Okay? Yep. And the standout, okay? Colin Farrell did tremendous, obviously, but the standout was Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone. Her character was so spectacular. It was so fucking good. And
it's shocking because it's a female writer, a showrunner, and not a female lead, but basically a female co-lead. And they are what made the show so great, and it's a darker show too, kind of like The Acolyte was, attempting to be. So, and it's also one season. I don't want a second season of The Penguin, not because I think it will be worse, but because season 1 was so good and the story just feels done and concluded. Yes, you do a season 2, I'll be there. Do you need to? No, because this worked so well. It will forever be one of those shows that I'm like, wow. Do you guys remember when The Penguin came out and how good that was? Because I didn't even really like that Batman Christopher Reeves movie, or not Christopher, Matt Reeves, sorry. Matt Reeves movie. I didn't really like that adaptation all that much, but I did like The Penguin a lot. So it is sad to see that from different companies and see that it's not impossible for Lucasfilm to get these quality people.
Let's back up. Let's back up. We don't even need to bring in The Penguin, which is a valid comparison. Lucasfilm did it. They did it with Andor. That's what's so frustrating, is we know they can make good stuff.
Dude,
we've seen it.
Yet again,
I really liked Andor. I liked Andor, but I'm telling you, even Andor can't touch The Penguin. It was that good. No,
I haven't
Penguin
seen
was that fucking good.
I don't know. It's definitely a different approach. Andor hit me more emotionally than
And
the
I loved
Penguin did,
Andor.
for sure. I
Yeah,
teared
but
up
yeah,
in Andor. I wouldn't tear up. It's a
yes,
different
but
medium.
let's be
It's a
fair.
different-
Let's be fair. You are far more a Star Wars fan than you are a Batman comic book fan. Let's
yeah,
let's,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I'm
Yeah,
not saying
gonna
I'm not
deny
saying
that.
you're a casual. You like Batman. But Star Wars is your jam.
But
I'm
Andor
far
didn't.
more eclectic with
Andor
that.
didn't make me tear up because it's Star Wars, or I didn't love it just because it was Star Wars. I think on its own as a show, it has a lot of merit. Could I compare it to the Penguin? I think I think that's a hard equivalence to go for, honestly, to say which one's better, just because of how different they are. Penguin was what, 6 episodes, or was it 8? I think it was 8, right?
Eight. But I
I
don't
think it
see,
was
and it
8.
was
Yeah,
hour-long episodes. Well, 40,
they were
but
hour long.
the credits,
They didn't
45
yeah,
minutes, 50
yeah.
minutes. But yeah,
They didn't do the cheap shit where it's like 30 minutes an episode
yeah.
or anything. I will say with the Acolyte, what we got going on with this thing, I love what you kind of said at the beginning with this Lunga, especially all of us here on Chatooine. We really gave this show a chance. We gave this the benefit of the doubt for years since it announced in 2020. And I have to say, I think that shows we are one of the most genuine Star Wars shows in the entire fucking galaxy. I think that's what separates us so much from everybody else, because we were out here week after week, month after month, year after year, when we were doing the podcast. I know we took like a year off, but when this was even announced, we were banging the drums for this. Yeah, a Sith-centered Star Wars show. Sign me up. I'm here for it. There's rumors it was going to be with a little bit of Bane history, a little bit of Revan, and it's about the Sith. We didn't get a fucking thing about the Sith. Not a fucking thing. Not a single thing. No one trained. No, you're gonna bring a Plagueis for 3 seconds?
We got peeping Tom
Pennywise.
Plagueis. Come on, don't forget peeping Tom
One of the
Plagueis.
most important Star Wars characters. It's just in that report that they said a couple of weeks ago with the Hollywood Reporter saying that the Star Wars TV shows have more leniency than the movies. That just almost confirmed the shit with the Acolyte, where it's like, is there no oversight here? Who looked at this and like the first time you focused on the Sith, you get Manny Jacinto coming out as a Sith, and yeah, he was fine. He was good in the role.
There's a substance to him, though. He was just a good actor for a Sith.
Yes, exactly. He's not a good Sith.
What hurt
where I'm
him
like, oh,
was the
that's
background. If they had more of Plagueis, more of how he got there,
exploration
that
of
would
what
have
you actually promised us.
that would have heightened his spectacular performance to incredible.
Well, also, it
heights.
would have given people like us, people like me who are deep into the lore, where I can go, okay, the prequels, the Phantom Menace wasn't really that good. But the Rule of Two, that's a curious thing you brought up there. I want to talk about that a little bit more. I didn't get that with the Acolyte. The Acolyte is what made this year the worst for Star Wars. I truly believe that. We talked about it again a week ago with Ro. Shout out to him, Scuttlebutt, podcast scare thing. There's a watering down of this brand that has been continuing to happen. And the Acolyte was the pinnacle of that. This was the most watering down of the Star Wars brand that you could possibly do. And I say it time and time again because I know I say great things, and I think the audience at home in the Star Wars fandom, we need to change, and you need to take this message home. The Acolyte was not a timeless product. It was a product of its time. In 50 years, when we look back and watch a show like that, a lot of people are going to go, oh, I can tell this was released in the 2020s. Well, how can you tell that? You can tell there's a bit of a odd focus on certain things that they focused on in that time, where all the shows kind of had a similar, you can't say anything about it, but we all kind of know the open secret, right? You can tell the difference between a show like The Penguin, where it doesn't focus on this diversity stuff for the sake of diversity. It focuses on the story that has
but they're there.
diversity in it.
They're there, right? You had a
Exactly.
co-female lead. You had Victor, who was a person of color. You had the
because
his
none of that
his love
truly
interest
matters.
was a black. You had them.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were all there. But here's the thing. You understand that people exist in this world, and seeing them shouldn't be a problem or a surprise. They exist in this world as other human beings with other human beings, and they form a story together, other than parading them out. Here you go. that's not the same
See, we're
thing.
good. We're good people. We're not racist because I have this person in my show. That's the problem with this show, The Acolyte, is that it is a product of a time and it's not a timeless product. And what makes it worse was not only the culture war surrounding it, it was the fans of this show showing their true colors. And I think a part of it was the deepness of Lucasfilm showing its true colors. The biggest problem that I think Lucasfilm had with the show was how they clearly went for a certain demographic of Star Wars fans, sent them merch, followed them, acted, in all honesty, and I'm not saying this because they're going for the wrong crowd or anything, they acted extremely unprofessional with this show. You just say something good about the Acolyte, you get a follow, you get a merch, you're part of the Yord Horde. Oh, we're so cute. Oh my God, this show is so zesty. It's fucking ridiculous. It's unprofessional, and it paints a picture to us, the audience, and casual Star Wars fans, people who live in the real world and don't all live in California, New York, or freaking, I don't even want to throw Chicago in there, Lunga. I'm sorry. I don't think the audience that I'm talking about here lives there. But when you focus on just that percentage of people on Star Wars Twitter, you're turning off so many normal people who love Star Wars. This was such a show that
it basically
did
says
so much damage.
What confirmed it for me is I am not a YouTube guy. I don't follow a lot of YouTubers. It just never was. Even though I'm on YouTube, I don't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't really watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, but I like John Campea. I've always liked John Campea, and he's very above board on everything. And he's quite liberal himself. He's not one of these, kind of guys. He's a California kind of liberal too. But even when he saw the show, he's like, this is bad. This is bad. Just the fundamental writing failures. Like, take out the Star Wars, take out the nerd stuff, the IP stuff. That if you just never know nothing about Star Wars, you look at the fundamentally failures that they had in writing and narrative telling and pacing is atrocious, and it should be embarrassed by that. And this is with things like the prequels that we know how bad they were. Okay, it just.
Well, and not only was it so bad, it did so much damage to the brain. When we look at this year and this conversation about Star Wars in 2024, does something like The Acolyte make it better or worse? I think the proof in the pudding with The Acolyte being bad for the year is that if you took this out of 2024, out of the release, this actually wouldn't be the worst year of all time. Because we would have been able to go, well, all right, Bad Batch Season 3 kind of sucked, but we're getting a new movie eventually. Tales of the Empire was kind of cool. You got the new Star Wars Outlaws game and all that stuff. This was an unproductive year for Star Wars, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad year. Things are coming.
It would have been considered a dry year for Star Wars, which is
it would have been
better than a year that like really hurt the fandom.
Exactly. But this, especially with the two shows that you had coming out, like actual shows, Tales of the Empire is something, but it's not a show. It only comes out for one day. Bad Batch Season 3, and then you get The Acolyte. Oh my God. Talk about watering down the damn franchise to the point where it's hard for even diehard fans to take this seriously anymore. The brand itself would have been so much better if they had never released The Acolyte. And what the biggest thing with The Acolyte, I swear the biggest damage that this is going to do to them is that it killed both sides. Both of those extreme sides of the Star Wars fandom, where unfortunately this culture war has just become political. And you have the grifters who are like, oh, this is all woke, confirming their bias that this stuff is woke because they look at this and they say this is woke, therefore it's trash. And then you have the extremist people on the shill side who say, well, it's not political. It's never been political, but it's always been political, and it's good that it is.
But let's deplatform YouTubers. Let's make a petition to deplatform.
Yeah. But if you disagree with me, it's because that's that whole debacle. This show exposed the true colors of everybody and the evilness that has taken over the Star Wars fandom. That's why.
And I don't even like any of those.
Change it.
All the ones who want to deplatform. I don't like Geeks and Gamers. I don't like Nerderotic. I can't stand Theory. Sorry, I don't like any of them. But you know what? No. And they don't need to be deplatformed.
Exactly. Exactly. We don't pick sides here, really. And unfortunately, all the sides who were calling for other channels to be demonetized and the sides that were being called to be demonetized, they all have done such damage to the fandom for their own personal vendettas. And Lucasfilm enabled that so much with the Acolyte that I don't know if this brand can recover. If I was in charge of Lucasfilm, whoever ran that Star Wars Twitter account and is called Swagman would be fired on the spot, and I would tell them that they're extremely unprofessional for the biases of how they interact with the fans and the
Well, you know
unprofessionalism.
why it happens though, right? I mean, it happens because it rewards what I consider bad behavior, but to them good behavior, right? And that's the problem. It's a psychological thing. I know I've got buddies who have literally like completely flipped in terms of how they talk about Star Wars in an honest manner to talking about it in a more what you would consider like a shill manner, because they hope that they can just get that follow. They hope that they can get that invitation.
And
I've got so many on my mind.
Proves.
And here's the thing. It worked for those people because you do have a specific number of people that I know, like not personally, but I know who like basically did a 180 because of the way the Swagman would kind of do what they did.
Everybody out there, just so you know, we saved Palpa Memes because he was down that road. He was down that road.
Hold on, that's exactly. Hold on. That's exactly what I was about to bring up. Is like I used to get those interactions. I used to get the happy birthday posts. I used to get the invitations to like Good Morning America and stuff like that. I would get those, right? But ever since I started like being more critical and what I consider just more logical about Star Wars, it all stops, and that's fine. I don't expect anything out of it. But it's all psychological, and it didn't work out for them from the majority because normal people are like, yeah, I see what you're doing. You're only going to be talking and kind of helping those who praise literally everything you do. It's silly.
That's another aspect of this too that I think I get a little annoyed with age or something like that. And I'm Lunga. I'm sure you see this a lot with young people.
It's a parasocial relationship. It's fake.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like some of these people who are falling for this stuff. It's one of those things where it's like you do not have the mental capacity to see what's actually happening. It's like when the Disney Gallery thing came out, and then they had the round table of all the directors talking, and then there's a bunch of these grifters saying, and all these people saying, "This is so fake. This isn't how people talk." And it's like you not understand people enough to know that Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, Rick Famuyiwa, Taika Waititi, Bryce Dallas Howard, all these people are having a genuine conversation on here, and the fact that you think it's all fake just shows how lack of reality
not only
you
that,
are in that.
Not only that. Did everyone forget how much love the fandom had for Fumigawa, for Bryce Dallas Howard, for Deborah Chow?
Even in Book of Bob, everyone praises
black man, a white woman, and an Asian woman. Did everyone just forget all that?
How happy were we when Deborah Chow got announced as the Kenobi series director?
Yeah,
the showrunner. Like that was
very exciting.
It ended up being bad because I think she did a bad job with it, but I was excited. Back to what we were saying at the beginning about the Acolyte. We got to move on from this anyways. But we are a very genuine show in that aspect where we gave the Acolyte, we gave Kenobi, both shows ran by women, the benefit. And I'm not saying this to be like, hey guys, we're not sexist because, we're men, but we do love women. I'm saying that because it's actually what happened here on the show. So it is crazy to me how everything happened throughout this year. But let's get off the Acolyte because I know we'll spend here another hour. Let's move on to the next one, which is the Rey movie getting delayed. That was another big topic of the year. The writer, was it Stephen Knight?
You started out. Hold on. You started off with Damon Lindelof, and then you went to Stephen Knight, and now you're going to no one.
I went to the wrong one. That's okay.
It's all good. Yeah. So the Rey movie gets delayed because we lose another writer. I don't know how you can even talk about this in a good or bad light for Star Wars in 2024 because it's so clearly bad. We've lost another movie, another writer. This was supposed to be the first Star Wars movie that came out, and then we thought, well, maybe because the way the rumors were coming about the scripts being pushed out and everything, maybe we're going to get this in December of 2026 instead of May of 2026. Now we're not even going to get a December 2026 Star Wars movie.
We might not even get the movie. We really don't know where it's at.
Yeah, we don't know where it's at, but we know it's delayed, at least.
Well,
Pat Memes, as a resident Rey fan,
yeah.
Give us your take on how did this affect your year for Star Wars?
Yeah, let me ask, where are we starting from? Because there's a lot that's happened with this movie. What point do you want me to start from?
The way we have it in the topics
Stephen Knight?
is Rey delayed and then new trilogy announced because
so Stephen Knight left.
Yeah, we're talking about when Stephen Knight left because
it was definitely that part. Yeah, I'll start with there. My initial was like, and I've been saying this for a while, even as a guy who does really like Rey as a character. The only thing that I kept holding on hope for was the fact that Stephen Knight was a part of this project. right? Because he is a phenomenal writer, as was Damon Lindelof. So I'm like, okay, they're just going to take Damon's script, which I'm sure was good, but didn't fit what they needed. And then Knight's going to basically reimagine it to fit what Lucasfilm wants. Cool. I'm all for that. I get that happens. But when you lose 2 writers back to back, and after we know Knight sent in, we know at least 4 scripts, right? Which is fucking insane that they still won't accept something. It just baffles me what's going on and who is making these decisions. We can blame Michelle, we can blame Kathy. I really don't care. I don't care who's to blame. I want it. I want change. That's my initial reaction. My second reaction is, oh, Charmin, there's no way she's still on the project. There's no way Charmin is still attached to this project. And I think what happened when it comes to this Rey movie and the trilogy announcement, I think Charmin's done. Stephen Knight is done. What's his name? Who's doing the trilogy? We just talked about him. Simon Kinberg. He is now doing the Rey movie, but now they're doing a trilogy for whatever reason. Who's writing it though? I think the script is dead in the water. I think the whole thing's dead. I don't think it's delayed. I think they're going to say, "Oh, it's on hold for now." No, it's dead. And I'm waiting for that announcement of Charmin is gone. Honestly, I think it'd be funny because there was so much backlash to Charmin and there was so much praise for Charmin just because of her background and stuff. So there was a lot of praise because of the backlash that she got, right? A lot of people said she didn't have the
which went radio silent after her. You didn't hear
literally
nothing
exactly
about her.
That's what it was. She said a lot of interesting things that Ahsoka call as interesting. And then all of a sudden 2 writers are lost. We haven't heard a peep from her about the movie in a very long time. Daisy Ridley says things are evolving. We'll share with you soon. Yeah, I don't.
And
think
she hasn't mentioned. And she hasn't mentioned Charmin. Rey hasn't said.
What's funny?
Real quick. Real quick. She used to talk about Charmin all the time in interviews. Not anymore.
Not only that, you're talking about Charmin, and I'm glad you brought her up. Remember, when the Mandalorian and Grogu announcement happened, this is when all the debacle about Charmin was happening.
Yes, it was a response.
That the Mandalorian
I looked at it. It was August.
Came out in January. Yeah, it's been a year since we've heard anything from Charmin. I actually think you're onto something here, Palp Memes. God dang, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Palp Memes, you might be right.
You might be right.
We might be losing because here's the thing. As a movie maker, this was announced in April of 2023. It is now December of 2024. That's what, a year and a half of nothing. Now, the movie is not only delayed, we're still looking for a new writer. It's definitely not going to start production next year. You're telling me this woman's going to go 2 to 3 years without any work at all for this Star Wars movie, potentially a trilogy?
Oh, yeah.
And that's another thing, too. And I swear to God, I will call someone at Lucasfilm. I will do whatever I have to do to get to someone in charge. If you're going to tell me this woman's directing all 3 of the new Star Wars Rey movies, I will call them and be like, who the fuck do you think you are to put this responsibility into somebody like this? It's just, and when I say somebody like this, I don't mean like Charmin's a bad person or anything like that. She does not have a track record to be doing a Star Wars movie. I am sorry. That is just the case. And it's so sad because
she did tremendous work on those documentaries. She brought a lot of things. Yes. She brought a lot of things to light of how women were treated around the world. And it was a very important topic, and it was a very, very well done documentaries for what they were. That does not give you a resume to do a Star Wars movie.
Especially when I've seen your work in the Miss Marvel show or whatever it was called. It wasn't
Which
good,
was,
whatever.
But here's the thing. For her, it was good because it revolved around a Pakistani family. Okay, so it was easy for her because it's what she knows. You know what I mean? So, and if you watch the show, it revolved more around Pakistani history and Pakistani families than it did superhero stuff. So that is what I see when I think about Star Wars. It's going to revolve around the stuff that's important to her, which I'm not saying that stuff isn't important, rather than the story that's in a Star Wars universe, which once again is, like I've said many times, it is putting the message before the story rather than making the message part of the story. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's gone. Palpa Memes. I I'm kind of there with
think
you.
he's onto something.
I will say no. They haven't said anything, but again, this is Lucasfilm. We know they don't say anything.
They say nothing anyways.
But at the same time, Ryan Johnson and Taika Waititi apparently are still making movies too. So
Rogue One, I mean, Rogue Squadron's still coming.
Yeah.
I'm sure David Benioff and DB Weiss are still working hard on their Star Wars trilogy too. It's all
You know what?
coming,
I
guys.
think they're bringing. I think George is still working on a sequel trilogy too. I think that's.
Oh yeah, he's sending the
yeah.
recent story.
He's trying to get the scripts back. You know.
So I guess we're all going to unanimously say that this news was just simply bad for 2024 Star Wars. I mean, how can it not be?
I mean,
there's nothing positive about this.
But the bigger part of it, is the follow up to that, where they started saying then Disney or Lucasfilm, they don't the cupboard is bare. We don't have Rey
don't have
is
nostalgia.
the future. We don't have nostalgia, and Rey is all we have.
We should get into that. That's the next topic. We should get into that. The whole new trilogy being focused on Rey. Rey might be the future of Star Wars. Like that with the news of her getting delayed for her own movie and the confusion on where this franchise is going in the future. It's just so confusing where it's at a point where it's like you don't even know what you're doing. And what's so fucking frustrating about this is that Kathleen Kennedy asked Bob Iger, we need to stop making movies for a couple years and we need to plan out. There were talks, there was rumors, insiders from Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Vanity Fair, all saying the same thing, is that Lucasfilm is planning out the next 10 years of Star Wars. There's no plan. They still, 5 years later, don't know what to do. That's heartbreaking.
It's so
to
funny to
simply
me.
do another trilogy and then just be like, we don't know what we're gonna do, but
Star
fuck
Wars
it, another
only.
Rey movie. Like
Star Wars only.
Which goes
So
full
fu-
circle with at the very beginning when we talked about Mando and Grogu. That yes, I'm happy that movie's coming, but that is literally coming because of all this.
Because of
it
incompetence.
is indicative
Star Wars
of
only.
what the future is. Yeah.
I have to toot my own horn a little bit. I remember having these conversations with you. It was on stream. I can't remember when it was. It was recently. It may have been this year where you were like, no, I think they've learned their lesson. I think they've got the plan and they're going to stick with it. I hate to say that I was right, because I remember saying like, no, they're not. They're going to be the same fucking mistakes over and over again until leadership completely changes at Lucasfilm. We are going to continue to see this trend, right?
Except the Mandoverse. Do you see that they have created their own little ecosystem? And I've said this before too. I think
there's a
Kathleen
very
Kennedy is hands off with them and is like, what you did has been working, so I'm not even. Just go ahead. Just do what you're doing.
Yeah, she has a faith and trust in them. And that's the problem, though, is that now you have Carrie Beck, who is in charge of hiring these directors and writers, who honestly has not done a very good job. Honestly has not. And I hate saying that, but like just with Leslie Headland and what happened with the Acolyte, I'm sorry. That was not good. So it gets to a point with the franchise and the state of things of it's to a point where even the people who've been defending everything for the past couple of years, how much can you really defend anymore? How long before you can say, okay, something is wrong? Because I'm tired of hearing this. Well, everything gets delayed. Well, it's always things are changing.
They're just taking their time, guys.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Something does need to change. And I'm not saying it's Kathleen Kennedy. I think there's a case for Kathleen Kennedy to stay on Lucasfilm for a very long time. I think there's a case for that.
For me, it's
this.
this.
I think there's a case.
It's just like a football coach. You only can have so many losing seasons. Even if the coach has a great resume, even if the coach is a great coach, you know what? He's going to go out to another team and maybe have a good, run somewhere else. But your time here is done. Your time here is done.
Yeah, maybe it's just not working out. Maybe it's just not working
fresh. We need a fresh mind on it. That's all. That's what it is.
I don't think it's even a fresh mind. I think when you have Kathleen Kennedy is not a storyteller. She is a producer to go, what do you need for success? And I'm going to give that to you. I will give you the best stuff that you could ever ask for. I have faith in you. And they have had faith, and I think it's because, not even specifically of Kathleen Kennedy, I think the people below her, like I'm bringing up of Carrie Beck, we had Michelle Rejuan, Pal Memes, do you remember that one lady, Tori something, part of the Lucasfilm Story Group, the executive producers? All right, maybe I know more than you do, God damn it. But anyways, there's a Tory Lane or something like that. But anywho, the people kind of higher up over there at Lucasfilm have been making these awful decisions on who they're bringing in. Charmino Bachinoy. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, what are you? You have a Bryce Dallas Howard. You have Rick Famuyiwa. You used freaking Ron Howard for Solo. You have Tony Gilroy. Use these people who have
And they can't even
made good
make the
quality
excuse
products
of Deborah Chow, because Deborah Chow, she was a relatively new director. Her resume was really small before she came to Lucasfilm, and she made that. And you know what? I could chalk it up as it was her first show that she did on her own. Okay, that may be where the problems lie, but she learns. But you can't even say that, because Kenobi was still leagues better than fucking Acolyte was. Okay,
I don't know
you have
about leagues better, but
leagues better than the Acolyte.
It's a rough
Leagues.
show. I saw a clip of it recently, and I was like, "Oh boy, this is not a good one." It's a rough one to get to. So we were talking about the trilogy. Then, okay, yeah. So this trilogy and the aspect of it being Rey, is this good or bad for 2024? And it's really hard to articulate, because this is not going to impact 2024 all that much. It's actually going to impact the future of the brand. But if I had to give a take on it, I would say that I think this is actually bad for the year in the franchise, because it does show yet again a uncertainty that we've been dealing with for now over 5 years.
It's the same thing.
We're
we talked
like,
about with Mando and Grogu.
We're like a mad scientist, you know. Let's keep trying it again. Try it again. Go do it again.
It's not the announcement that's the problem. Yeah, it's not the announcement that's the problem. It's not that they're making a trilogy. That in any normal circumstances we'd be like, great, let's do this. Okay, it's because of all the other shit around it. And Rey's the future. Is he? We don't even know what this is. Rey is the Obi-Wan Kenobi in this. This could be Rey's movies stand alone, and this trilogy is supposed to be after it, supposedly, from what we know. And even the trades couldn't figure it out, right? Because they went back and forth, and they said this, that, and they had to retract shit, and then they don't even know.
Even more proof that Lucasfilm does not know what's going on or what they're doing, if multiple trades are having conflicting sources.
Yeah,
and these aren't just nobodies. This isn't even like relatively decent scoopers, like maybe like a Bespin Bolton, a Jason Ward, or anything like that. No, this is the Hollywood Reporter, probably the most reputable when it comes to Lucasfilm people, saying that I don't know what's coming, brother. I don't know if it's going to be Rey. I don't know if it's going to be a new saga. I have no idea.
We're hearing things.
And Mike, I don't know.
But they're all hearing different things. That's all we know.
Exactly. Are you hearing that this is going to be a Rey movie or a trilogy? Or are you hearing this is going to be a new saga? Yes, I am.
Yes. All of the above. Where's the D on the Scantron? It doesn't. It's like we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be. We have no fucking clue. Okay, and that is what makes it bad for 2024. Because normally we're supposed to be excited about an announcement of a trilogy, especially a movie. Because we haven't got shit for movies, right? We're like chomping at the bit for movies. Enough with the TV shows.
Wait, no, we got a lot of shit for movies within a year time frame. We got
what I mean.
4 movies announced, and then you had another year, and you did another 3 movies.
How many movies have we seen since fucking Rise of Skywalker?
Nothing, of course.
Thank you.
You don't remember Rogue Squadron last year? Last year, December 20th.
The one that was also canceled.
Squadron. That was a banger.
That was a great one. I remember the X-Wings and the
TIE
fighters.
They said it's X-winging time, and then the X-wing did hyperspace travel through a Star Destroyer and killed it. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was cool.
You know, and we don't even know about that. Was it Patty Jenkins or was it them? But it seems like to me that they did a I think they did a Dan and Dave.
Bad.
They are the common denominator.
Remember what happened after Game of Thrones, right? After that season 8, they got cold feet. And they're like, okay, we don't like what they're doing, and they got rid of Benioff and Weiss to do stuff. Okay, and I think the Patty Jenkins thing, because that was right after the Wonder Woman movie didn't do very well. And
what they've done consistently is they hire people who are hot at the time, and it's one of my favorite validations I've ever had was the actual writers for A Quiet Place were asked by Lucasfilm to come write for them. In A Quiet Place, guys were like, I don't know, not really. And I tweeted about that and like my take on it basically on Twitter many years ago when this was news. And I said, these guys are too good to have the supervision of Lucasfilm, they're probably going to feel like more creative freedom is going to happen if they have their own universe that they're doing, not A Quiet Place, but whatever the hell they ended up doing instead of Star Wars. And they liked my tweet, and I was like, oh, all right, there I go. Maybe confirmation bias on my end, but I feel like
but it was the same thing.
You know?
I mean, same thing with Taika. Again, I really didn't want Taika, but after Thor: Love and Thunder,
well, yeah,
that's when it all went quiet.
That's the point I was making.
With Taika.
That's the point I was making. Is that Lucasfilm hires people when they're popular, when they're hot, and big. Gareth Edwards. Funny how they got him on right after the Godzilla movie. Josh Trank. Funny how they got him on after the whole what was it, Super 8 that he did and everything. They wanted him to do a Boba Fett film. Lucasfilm has had this history of let's bring these guys in like a Phil Lord and a Chris Miller because they did so great with the Jump Street movies and the Lego movie. And then you get them in there and you go, oh, they're not fitting our style. They're not doing this the way we want them to. Or maybe they're not as good as we really thought they were to do a Star Wars thing. Well, the problem is you already announced this. You already said this was happening. You're already filming the movie.
They announce everything.
Time and time again.
They announce every movie they're going to do. And they don't announce, like, Darth Prime says, did the Lando movie get canned? Here's the thing. Let's think about this, guys. Things has been shelved. Not one movie. The closest thing we got to it, I think, was Rogue Squadron, which still isn't. Not one movie has been officially said, we're not doing. They've all just got shelved or put to the back burner.
Wait. The only one, I think, if I'm remembering, the context and what Kathy said matters, but the David Benioff and DB Weiss one definitely was like she did say something with that, where she was like, we want them to.
No, because as far as I remember from that time, that their movie, I think, is what Mangold is doing. I think they were supposed to.
You're right.
The movie hasn't been canned.
But what happened is that Kathy wanted not only their full attention, she got annoyed the fact that they were shopping around with different streaming platforms, but also that they had only written up to like the first movie, really, and they got those scripts, and then they started hearing what was happening after season 8 of Game of Thrones and the production behind that, where they're like, oh, we had no idea what we were doing. Of that,
we didn't care about the books. We didn't care about magic. Yeah. It wasn't important. And
we're here to appeal to football fans. We think football fans like dragging.
Football fans.
What do you mean the Night King needs a story? What do you mean Azor Ahai? Who are you talking about? I'm not that high.
Look at Pebble Meme's eyes glaze over. He has no idea what we're talking about right now.
I'm zoned out from your football conversations.
Well, you come at me for football, young man. All right,
I will.
My Cowboys are now Cowgirls since Tony Romo left.
I don't want to discuss. Listen, as a Bears fan right now, I do not want to discuss football. Let's move on, please.
Should have been Roger Staubach. Got to bring that motherfucker back. Anywho, let's move on to the end of all of this. The final question, which is the most important and what we started off with, is: was 2024 a good year for Star Wars? I would like to start off and say no. I think, truthfully, this was the worst year for Star Wars since 2018. I think what you want at the end of every year is hope for the future. You want us to all look at the future like Luke looks at the twin sunsets and go, I can't wait for what comes next. We have not 2 suns to look at right now. We have like 15 suns that are movies and then like 10 smaller ones that are shows probably coming out in the next 20 years. Nobody's really excited for any of this. It's such a bad 2024 is leaving such a bad taste in our mouth because you get this weird announcement with this movie coming before the other 3 movies that you announced. Those movies are delayed or something's going on with them. Bad Batch season 3 is just as bad as the other seasons and just as long and did nothing to make us happy, or I don't even vividly remember probably 15 of the episodes of season 3. Tales of the Empire was solid, but that lasts for a day. The Acolyte was excruciating and watered down the brand so bad that it might have done irreparable damage that you can never recover from. The Rey movie is not only delayed because you don't agree with any of the writers, you're now bringing in another writer to do a trilogy, but you don't really know if she's going to be the future or not. You don't really know what the future is because you're too scared to invest in anything. was 2024 a good year for Star Wars? No, it was one of the worst years that the brand has ever had because it has shown us who Lucasfilm really is. It's like knowing your spouse has been cheating for years, but you finally caught them in the act, and then you realize, damn, you didn't even upgrade. I hope you were going to cheat on me with a doctor, a lawyer, or something. You're telling me the janitor from the Denny's is the guy you're going with? What are you talking about? Like, it's too bad. And it's so sad. And the year is now over, and Skeleton Crew is coming. And even if Skeleton Crew is as good as something like, let's say it's about the level of a, I'm trying to think of good shows. We don't really have a lot.
Ahsoka, because I was in the middle.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you that. Yeah, Ahsoka. If it's as good as Ahsoka, it will make the year go, I mean, it was rough, but it wasn't that bad, you know. But if it's just average or even bad, yeah, no, this year, I think Skeleton Crew is almost a non-factor with 2024 at this point. It's just been so bad. And what's sad, too, is that we put a lot of time in it on Chatooine into 2024. So it's kind of sad to look back on this as Chatooine Show and go, damn, this was not a good year.
Well, give us something to talk about, though.
Yeah, but we could do a montage at the end of the year of all the shit that happened here on Chatooine in 2024 and this shitty Star Wars release schedule that we have. But
yeah, I'm not doing that. You can pay someone to do that. I'm not going through all those.
No, I'll go through a look. I don't care. Yeah, but was 2024 a good year for Star Wars, Lunga?
But before I do that, I want to comment on what Darth Prime says. We haven't talked about Battlefront or Outlaws. Outlaws, it was on the docket, but I nixed it, and I'll tell you why. Because we here at Chatooine are only going to talk about things that we have knowledge on, not just because we know Star Wars. None of us played fucking Outlaws. None of us cared to play Outlaws.
Most people did.
So what the fuck are we going to talk about?
Well,
every show that we have talked about, we watched.
Yeah.
Every episode. So
unfortunately,
but none of us played Outlaws.
Even if Outlaws was a phenomenal game, it would not have moved the needle for Star Wars as a brand or franchise. And clearly it was not. Yeah. Even if it's a solid game that I've heard people who actually do like it, it has not done enough, even on the game side of things, to move the needle. This is not like the Star Wars Eclipse.
They tried to do a little anti-woke thing about it. Oh, look at the girl, she's ugly, you know that. And it was like even that discussion, people are like, oh geez, shut up. It wasn't.
Star Wars Eclipse, that trailer, that moved the needle more with just a trailer for that year than Star Wars Outlaws did by release.
Another project that we know isn't happening, but they still haven't said it's done. they still didn't like.
It's coming. I have faith that that jerk who's running the company, who is just an awful person, I will take the L. I'll hate the artist, but not the art. I want to see Eclipse come out one day. I don't care who makes it.
But is it the worst? Here's the thing. I'm not as bad on it. It is one of the worst years. I'll say that. It's not as bad as 2018 or post even Last Jedi. For this reason, I'll tell you this way. If the Acolyte was just a meh show, it was just like, it was meh. It was meh. And we didn't get this news about the whole confusion with the Rey movie. If the Rey movie was still going ahead as planned and Acolyte was meh, we would look on 24 and said, it was okay. That's so those two things alone are what is souring everything. And that is literally in the last quarter of 2024. So I don't think it's that bad. Is it a horrible way to close out the year? Yeah. But I'm looking forward to Ahsoka season 2. I am looking forward to Mando and Grogu. I'm looking forward to the Mangold film. That's that way down the line. Even the Rey movie, when they first said it, I'm like, I was gonna watch it. Let's see what you can do. Okay. I was still gonna watch it. But that stuff is what's really sour. So I don't think it's you know, we're gonna have to make a Doom only now as well.
He's joined the dark side.
What are you talking about, brother? I've been Doom only since
He's been
before
praising this
Palpatine
shit.
even knew who Star Wars only was.
But so I don't think it's
From the
that
beginning,
bad,
he'll
but-
start.
It's one of, I would say, the last 2-3 months have made it close to one of the worst years. But again, I wasn't feeling this bad about it until the Acolyte happened, and then this news that came out. That's what really made it go.
You're not
It's like
saying
it's like your
worse than
team want to
2018,
go to the
but-
football. You want to go to the football thing. It's like your team had a good season. You know, you didn't expect them to make the playoffs. They make the playoffs, and they're looking really hot. You're like, yeah, and then they go to the first game of the playoffs, and they get blown out 52-0, and you're like, and it's a team that they beat earlier in the season. It's like, what the fuck is that?
I do not think we were in the playoffs this year at all for Star Wars. But for me, man,
If the
I don't know.
Acolyte would have been good,
think
it
it's-
would have been.
yeah, maybe. But let me ask you this: do you think it is the second worst year, like behind 2018?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I mean, like, there's not been a lot of bad years. I mean, the worst of the worst were the Dark Ages. You know what happened after the original trilogy, because we didn't get anything for like 16 years. So you know that was really rough.
Again,
But, you
there
know,
was a lot of content
that's the
out
thing.
there for us.
That's the thing. There was books to go for and everything like that, but it wasn't exactly what you wanted, and that's why it was called the Dark Ages. But to be fair, because nothing came out really that was canon, you didn't really do any damage. You know, that's what makes this year so bad. Is you get something like season 3 of the Bad Batch, you get something like the Acolyte. It's like, well, this is now canon, and this is really bad. Palpamemes, close this out. Was 2024 a good year for Star Wars?
2024 for me, I can only speak for myself as a fan, was probably the worst year for Star Wars from my own personal experience as a fan, because I'm really not a fan anymore, and I hate to say that. This year simply reinforced literally everything that I've been saying is going wrong with Lucasfilm. And it's almost like, since we use a cheating analogy, it's almost like a girl cheats on you one time, and you're an idiot and you forgive her, and you stay with her. But then she cheats on you 4 more times. It's almost like every single time she cheats on you, the more times you're supposed to realize, oh, no, this is fucking horrible. This is
It's like at this point you realize I'm gullible and dumb, and you're just taking advantage
that's
of me.
exactly how I feel as a fan. It was like I feel really gullible for believing. For
You
so
feel
many
cucked,
years
don't
that
you?
Things are gonna be fine. It's all nonsense. No, there's just anomalies that are happening. You know, everything's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. They got these movies coming out, but fucking no. The fact that we got a fucking trilogy announced is just insane. After all the issues that every single other film has gone through,
The funniest thing too is it wasn't even announced. It's
well, you know what I
trades.
mean. It was revealed, I
know.
guess I should say.
But that makes it even worse, doesn't it?
It makes it
Like,
worse. It's because
not
it's
even
insane.
announced.
It's insane. And to anyone who's like, "Oh no, you're just being negative. You're just being a hater," look at the past decade of Disney Star Wars, and you cannot tell me with good faith that they have done a good job with this franchise, unless you're just delusional. And in that case, admit you're delusional. Because if you genuinely believe that, oh, no, they're taking their time. You're not taking your time on something if you never do it. It's like saying I'm going to take my time to work out, but I never actually lift a fucking dumbbell. You're not taking your time with your working out. You're not doing anything when you're working out. That's the biggest problem, is they keep using this excuse of we need to take the time. No, you're not taking your time. You're writing scripts. You're hiring directors. You're hiring writers. And then you're firing them or they quit. That's not taking your time. That's you being an incompetent studio ran by a multi-trillion whatever dollar corporation above you. It is sad to see what has happened to this franchise in 2024. 100% solidified my worries about this brand. It's not going to get better. I'm sorry, it's not getting better this next 3 years, because we're going to have more cancellations. You're going to have dog shit TV shows, or mediocre ones at best, besides Andor. I'm very excited about Andor. I'm really looking forward to that. You're going to have books that no one cares about. You're going to have no video games that anyone cares about.
You have the Rise of Skywalker comic book.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Because the Rise of Skywalker, with 1,000 fucking changes last minute, and they call all this shit out and reshot everything, that they had to cancel the book for it, or the comic for it. Now they're bringing it back with new scenes, guys. We have new scenes in here. Wonder where those are going to come from. It's just, it's as a fan, someone who like this is my setup now. This is my nerd room. Do you guys remember my nerd room from my old apartment? How much shit I had? I had lightsabers up. I had
remember.
canvases. I remember that. That was because I had some form of hope, right? my lightsabers, my my nerd shit. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. It could be that. They're all in fucking boxes. I don't hang them up anywhere. I have nothing
It's
with
not
Star
'cause
Wars
you're getting
out.
older. Look at
I'm
Lunga's
50
room.
fucking
Besides
years
this.
old.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Let me finish. That's my point. It's not because I'm wanting to be negative. It's not because I am doom and gloom, but for various reasons. It's not because I want to hate this thing or don't want to care about it. I genuinely want to love this franchise, but Lucasfilm Disney have given me zero reason to care. They've only done the complete opposite. They've only given me reason to simply walk away from this brand because I realize it's not getting better and I have no reason to waste and spend my energy on it. I love doing the Chatooine Show because I get to talk about these things, but outside of Chatooine Show, I don't give two shits about this franchise anymore. And that's why 2024 is a horrible year, probably the worst year for Star Wars for me, because it made me really wake up to like, wow, this is bad.
Wow.
I'm done. Love the show, guys. Looking forward to Skeleton Crew. Oh,
You know what I love too, Palmuse, is like, I actually don't think it's as doom and gloom as bad as you need to be because, yeah, Andor Season 2 is going to go on for a little bit. We are getting Celebration next year, and I know there's going to be a bunch of announcements of things they can't...
Stop. We're going to get Celebration. We're going to get fucking Mandalorian and Kermit the Frog trailer. It's going to look like ass. It's going to look like a Disney Plus movie. And then we're going to get more announcements of shit that's probably not going to get made.
Yeah.
What world are you living in to be excited about
Vision
Celebration?
Season
It's in
3.
Japan. It's in
Vision
Japan.
Season
Come
3.
on, bro.
Come on, Vision Season 3
They already
coming
announced
out.
that. They already announced that.
2025. But it's not coming out till next year. So we get Andor.
Oh my
Fucking...
I need to check my blood pressure.
Lunga, you're muted.
Lunga, you're muted.
You're gonna get Daisy Ridley coming up there saying it's evolving, guys. It's coming.
It's evolving.
I'm telling you.
It's exciting. It's exciting, guys. I'm about to read a script.
I've been excited for 6 years. It's coming.
Instead of doing one
fucking
movie,
blue balls, bro. They're blue balling us fans so much. They announce so
don't
much
complain.
stuff that's like
Daisy Ridley has been giving you blue balls since you were 15.
Bro,
so
I don't want to talk about it, man. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I'm done.
she's gonna come out. She's gonna be like, instead of doing one movie, we know you thought we were gonna do 3, but instead of doing 3 movies, we're gonna do 9. It's gonna be called the Rey Saga.
The Rey
Saga.
Skywalker saga, not the Skywalker saga, but the Rey
Skywalker saga, and now we're doing the Skywalker saga.
Oh, hey, fucking hello, Greedo's in the chat. He just heard me rant about that. Can we pull him up?
yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that, Greedo. I hope you're doing well, man.
He's looking forward to Skeleton Crew as well.
Skeleton Crew
Greedo.
is giving me Goonie vibes, and I think if it can capture that whimsical, adventurous,
I hated the
feeling of
Goonies.
youth-
Oh, I'm not getting into this.
Oh God!
I'm
Yeah,
not
here
getting
comes.
into
All
this.
right, let's end the show before we get into the Goonies topic.
Hey, I was the only one on the show alive when the fucking Goonies came out. All right, you
fuck outta
motherfuckers were swimming in nutsacks. Okay, I was alive when the Goonies came out.
Manga.
You don't remember
I the
shit.
Goonies.
You don't
remember all
remember
of it.
shit. You don't.
I was there for the Goonies.
Yeah, remember Edit? Oh, I remember. Remember Chewbacca?
I ain't gonna say a word. This
No,
is a fight between you
I
guys.
was there
I'm
for
not
all
getting
of it.
involved.
I had the Goonies on VHS.
And
right?
yes, thank you, Greedo. Stand By Me, leagues better than Goonies.
Well, duh. Yeah, Stand By Me is like a film. It's like actually a movie with some heart in it. The Goonies was fun. It was funny. Hey, you guys! Come on, man. You know, act like that's not a
I
classic.
hate that Star Wars is I'll be honest, I hate that Star Wars is at the point now to where we can't just like get excited about it on its own merits and what they are showing us. We have to get excited because it kind of looks like something that already exists, and I like that thing that exists, so maybe this will be good. It's like, come on.
And like we've said before, if like the trilogy was announced 4 or 5 years ago, the reception would be a lot different. But now that we're so used to Lucasfilm and everything that's been going on, when you announce something, we don't believe you anymore. Even the people who gave so much good faith for years don't believe them anymore. Why would you?
Final question for you guys before we bring up the calendar and end this shit show. So Skeleton Crew, even though it's at the tail end and part of it's going to be going into the next year, if Skeleton Crew actually is really good, okay, and I'm not saying the best thing ever because I doubt it, but let's say it's really good, will that change your perception of 2024?
No, not in the slightest. Because it
No, 'cause
goes
I-
into 2025, and also it would have to have the same reception that Mandalorian season 1, the overwhelming, oh my God, this is like the new great thing for Star Wars, for it to even remotely change 2024. If it's like Andor, where it's a slow burn and you kind of slowly realize, like, this is actually a very professionally made series and they did a great job. A lot of people probably don't even remember the year Andor season 1 came out. You remember it more for that specific season and everything like that. So because it's coming out in December and it's going into January, I don't think it's going to change 2024 in the slightest. I think if anything, if it's good, it's actually going to help 2025 because then you have this momentum after Skeleton Crew of we're getting Celebration in April and then we're going to get Andor. So now that we had something really good, we can kind of speculate on what the future is going to be for not only Skeleton Crew but Star Wars. Whereas right now, because we're coming off the Acolyte, there's no goodwill. It's kind of sour. It's like, damn, the last thing it's like a fighter. You just lost your last fight. Yeah, I want to see you fight the next time, but I mean, you lost the last one. So you could win the next one, but you lost the last one. So that's my take on it. What about you, Pal Memes?
Even if Skeleton Crew finished by December and it was Andor level of good, for me, because of it's a TV show, there's no way it can make up for all the negative of 2024. It might help, like, well, at least it'd be like at least we got this show, and that's how I feel about Andor in general. It's like at least we have Andor, but it's not enough to just make up for all the issues that have occurred with everything else. And so no, it wouldn't change my opinion on it.
All right. Well, we don't have an updated calendar, but just to let you know what's coming up on the Chatooine calendar, we're going to start our live action Star Wars series, Skeleton Crew, next week on December 4th. We're doing my bad. November 27th, we're doing the preview. And then on December 4th, basically that going forward is going to be nonstop Skeleton Crew. We are taking breaks on Christmas and New Year's, but you will be getting at least 4 weeks straight, a full month of Chatooine content. And also, we did the past 2 weeks. We weren't supposed to do the one from last week because of the news and everything. We decided to do it, but this is supposed to be our return show. So we're going to be back for a little while. And, Skeleton Crew is going to be the future leading into January of 2025. And we do have a good amount of things planned for 2025 in of itself now that we have Andor and a little bit more certainty of what's happening in the beginning of the year. So we're going to be here for a little bit, at least 4 to 5 months of good Chatooine content. So, stick around. And before we close the show, we do want to give a shout out to channel members. What, Longo?
Hold on. We got to read what Asa Morgan said. I think the fact I'm more excited for Chatooine Show each week than Star Wars Practice is very funny to me.
That's what we're here for, all right? We're replacing TV, guys.
We're keeping this
Wednesday night,
franchise
you don't have
alive.
to be lonely with Star Wars only, all right? Just tune in for the Chatooine Show, and we'll be here. Rain, sleet, or snow, whether it's good, bad, or ugly for Star Wars, we're going to be here for it. So, yep, come back next week. We'll be doing some more good old Chatooine. But now, it'll be about the Skeleton Crew. So we'll see you all next time here on the Chatooine Show. May the Force be with you, always.